5-Minute Professor, and today's lesson is on maple syrup. Now, maple syrup is made from the sap of maple trees, but not all maple trees. There's 159 species of maple trees, but the trees that have the sweetest sap are sugar maples. They're native to North America, from the Mississippi River to New England, Nova Scotia, and Newfoundland. Sugar maples create a wide autumn palette with their yellows and their reds and their orange, very vibrant leaves. A sugar maple is also the leaf featured on the Canadian flag. Sugar maple is the state tree of Vermont and New York State, and the reverse of the Vermont State Quarter features sap collection. And in addition to sugar maples, you could get usable sap from black maple and red maples, but really stick with the sugar maples. Sugar is produced by the leaves throughout the year through photosynthesis, and it's stored in the roots during the winter. Once the weather heats up, and it is a little warm, we're not talking about 80 degrees, we're talking about 40 degrees during the day, maybe avoiding it being freezing at night. So 40s and 50s during the day, and not getting down into the freezing at nighttime. Then the trees start to send the sap back up through the xylem of the tree. And this is where trees are tapped. Most trees maintain their taps from year to year, but are stopped when they're out of season. So they just plug them up, and then next spring, they're going to open up those taps again in these maple trees, some of which are enormous. Typical syrup farmers are tromping around in snow. There's usually snow on the ground when the sap starts going back up into the trees. The trees are tapped after they've stood for about 30 to 40 years and are a little bit over a foot in diameter. Trees that are 18 inches across can support 2 taps. And when they get over 25 inches, they can handle a 3rd tap. They usually can be tapped until the tree reaches the 100-year mark or so, without any negative impact for the tree. According to Cornell University, 3 5/16 taps in 3 dozen 25-inch diameter trees will cost a total of about $4,000 to tap and process the 150 gallons of sap that will eventually become 40 to 50 gallons of maple syrup. At $32 a gallon wholesale, it takes about 5 years to break even, not including labor costs. Proper tapping of the tree reduces the total cost by about 7%. Maple syrup was popular amongst the Algonquins, the Abenaki, and the Mohicans before the arrival of Europeans. Abolitionists preferred maple syrup as a sweetener to the southern staples of cane sugar or molasses, harvested predominantly by slave labor. Quebec is responsible for about 75% of the world's supply of maple syrup. Canadian standards say that syrup must be from maple trees and have a sugar content of at least 66%. Canadian grades are extra light A, medium number 2, which is also sometimes B, and number 3 dark. The U.S. grades are a little bit more positive sounding. Grade A light amber, which is also called fancy. Look at our syrup. It's so fancy. Grade A medium amber, grade A dark amber, and grade B dark. Now, I prefer dark in almost all of my choices. To me, dark, bitter, and angry is how I like my beverages and my women. But when I spend $20 on a quart of Canadian syrup, I get dark amber. But trust me on this, lighter is better, and you can spend a little bit more money. Perceptum, quispium, damnatium. Learn something, damn it! I'm the 5-Minute Professor, and thank you very much for listening to today's lesson. If you have any comments at all, please put them in the comments section down below. And of course, like it and subscribe to the channel. But most important, if you liked it, if you commented, and if you subscribed, tell your friends. Perceptum, quispium, damnatium. Learn something, damn it.